one moment, please. It
is
not doesn't. Okay, let me try again.
Good.
Yes, now
yeah,
it's working.
now it's okay.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding us. Thank you for that.
Okay, so thank you, Abdullah, to remind us. So I need to repeat the goals for the workshop. It's to help you understand the purposes and basic requirements for an effective literature review, to help you critically assess research material, to help develop strategy for inventing, organizing, and drafting a literature review, and finally to help you cite appropriately the sources. So the first part of this workshop is dedicated, as I said, to a strategy for writing literature review, and I have to begin with this question to students attended here. What is a literature review, and especially why do we bother with it? Does someone have the answer or need or wants to participate from students? Abdullah, since you are here, since you are a student in PhD, do you know why we
Yes,
bother with the literature reviews?
Yes, there are many reasons. We have to.
You can speak in Arabic if you want. It's not a problem.
It's okay. I will try my best.
Tamam.
We have to search for related researchers.
Okay.
Something is related to our research. This will enrich our topic and our paper. Also to show that we know, we have information, we have يعني good knowledge about this topic. يعني.
Tamam. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah. So a literature review is a critical summary for all the published work on a particular topic. It is a kind of recap, in fact, of what has already been searched on a topic you are addressing. And we need to take a look at the purposes of a literature review and to ask the question about why writing a lit review. So because if we know the why, then the how becomes a lot easier. The first purpose is to find out what's already known about the topic and how other researchers have approached it. So means here you need to demonstrate that you have a solid understanding of the previous research or study related to your topic. The second one is to give your reader a critical overview of what you found of existing literature and to find out what is missing from the current knowledge so you can contribute something original. Means you can point out the gap and identify where to focus on your research. Here an example. Suppose it to be, you suppose that you have a topic about the social media use or usage in the UAE. Here, once you do the literature review, you may find that lots of work has been done on this topic in a certain area, for example, in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, but very little in other Emirates like Sharjah or Al Fujairah or Horfakan, etc. So this is what we call a gap. And you may then decide to choose the sample of your study from one of these other Emirates. Or while doing your research or your search for the literature, you may discover that one previous study addressed the uses of young people in the UAE, but a little of them dealt with kids. So you may decide here to focus on the category of users, which is the kids. That's how, in fact, your work becomes really valuable and distinguished. And you need to remember here that there is no point in asking research questions that you already know their answers. Now that you have an idea about the meaning of literature review and its purposes, you should learn more about where to find it. So what are the sources? Definitely, the sources are really diversified. It should be anything from books, journal article, or any other sources like databases. And while elaborating your literature review, you have to keep in mind that there are certain features for an effective one. First of all, you have to outline important research trends. You also need to assess the strength and the weakness of existing research. You need also to identify the potential gaps or missing angles in the knowledge related to your topic, always, and establish a need for current or future research project. So now, in this section, we are going to learn how to use or how to write a literature review in a simple 5 steps. We begin with step number 1, find literature relevant to your topic. And as we mentioned before, literature means any academic sources like books, journal articles related to your subject. And you need to search in the scholarly databases like Google Scholar, Elsevier, Science Direct, PubMed, etc. We have also the Arabic databases like الكشاف, المنظومة, المعرفة, المنهل, etc. We need also to create some keywords like social media, use UAE, or we simply put a short sentence or phrase in the URL of these databases like this. For example, I put social media, use UAE in the URL of Google Scholar, and see there is about 6,300 results in 0.06 seconds. So it is really fast and really rich as a source. Here I did the same thing in Arabic, شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي, الاستخدامات, الإمارات, and I got only four researches in this subject, but we can go on in all the Arabic databases and we can collect as much as we need from the sources. Also, we can use the keywords with Boolean operators. Boolean operators are words like and, or, not. When used in library databases, typed between the keywords as conjunctions to combine or to exclude words, they can make each search more precise and save your time. So this helps you to filter and refine your search result. Here an example. We have two key words, peanut butter and jelly. So here, using and as Boolean operator, this search would only retrieve results with peanut butter, which is the first one, and the jelly, the second keyword. Using or, this search would retrieve results with peanut butter, with jelly, and both of them. So it's richer here. But if we use not, for example, this search would retrieve results with peanut butter and exclude those with jelly or peanut butter with jelly, both of them. So hope here you understand the difference between the three of them in the usage. Okay, so there is another way to look for sources, which is the author name. So if you guessed or know that certain authors have published a study relevant to your topic, then go digging and find them. Here, for example, I typed my name in the Google Scholar, and I found about 33 results, 0.04 seconds. So it's really fast, and I got 33 research articles in the Google Scholar. I did the same thing with المنهل أو دار المنظومة this time. I got 13 in Arabic language. So you can put the name of author that you guessed that he or she has many or one article published related or close to your topic. You can dig this way and you will find everything. So step 2, read, evaluate, and select sources. Once you already gathered a certain numbers of study, you need to summarize them. So remember here that you need to take note parallel to that in a separate sheet that you need to create in order to list your references. And we are going to explain this point with more details later. So to do this reading and evaluation, you need to summarize your sources. You need to take note, for example, the author name, the main problems, the theoretical perspective, the method used in these scholars, the main finding, and you have to ask the question also, how does this study relate to other study or to yours? Also, what does this study add to your project? So since you are asking these questions and collecting these information, you need to select only the relevant books and articles. To do this, it's not necessary at all to read all the research or the book or the papers. Read only the abstract to scan whether this article is relevant or not. Here in Elsevier, for example, we have usually the abstract. This abstract gives you a clear idea about the article since it includes the problem, the hypothesis, the research questions, the main finding, etc. So after reading the abstract, you can certainly decide if it is close to your problematic or not. Same thing here for the Arabic database. I think Al-Manzuma also. We can find what we call in Arabic al-Mustakhlas, the summary. We can find it in Arabic, in English, in French. It depends on the journal, in fact. But I think all the Arabic databases have the al-Mustakhlas, so you can decide after reading them. Another thing here, which is really important, to look at the bibliography of the publication of other relevant research. Now that you selected a number of researches and you think that they are relevant to yours, so go digging in the reference list, in the bibliography, and look for other references that are close with that use in the title, for example, the same keywords that you have in your topic. And then it is really inspiring. It's really rich. Also, if you are looking for a literature in a Google Scholar, for example, it's going to give you the number of citation. The number of citation is really important. Why? Because it shows how many times the scholars have cited the research or the study. So here you have to keep in mind, the higher the citation count, the more reliable the source is in the field. Here, for example, the first study, which is a brief history of time from Big Bang to black holes, cited by 7,639 scholars, while the second one, Space-Time and Gravity, the Theory of the Big Bang and Black Holes, was only cited by 114 person or authors. So if you are looking for study on a Big Bang theory, you better choose the first one. Why? Because of the high number of citation and because also of its novelty, because see here, the first one published in 2009, but the second one is 1992. So here also you need to make sure of the novelty of the literature. And generally, in literature review, we have to use the recent publication, the recent study, as they are supposed to include updated information about the topic. Here we are in the step 3. So identifying themes, debates, and gaps. As you read, take notes and pay attention to the connection between different sources. This way, you can organize your literature review arguments and structure a lot easier. So here are things to look for. For example, pattern in theory, in method or results. You can see also the main subject dealt with. The debate on contradiction between the results of the previous literature. Influential study means the most important study addressed for that topic, and the gaps or the missing angle. Here, for example, is an example of debate in a topic related to social media and self-identity. There are who say that social networks enhance self-identity, and those who consider that social media disguise the identity in favor of a globalized virtual one. Here, this type of discussion or debate should be emphasized in the literature. Step 4, it's about outlining your literature review. So you can go about your literature review structure in a few ways. It's all depending on what found in the studies you selected and what you want to emphasize. So you need to decide on how you want to organize your literature review, because by now you are supposed to know a lot about what was written on your topic, and you start to see things in connection between sources. You can organize your literature review chronologically from the older to most recent publications. For example, if you are doing a research on the development of technological use in education sector, here you should proceed on chronological way to draw the most important stages as well as the important use of technology in each stage. Here are more tips, in fact, for using the chronological approach. Use this structure when you want to focus on how ideas or methodology have progressed over time. Group and discuss your sources in order to their publication date. Record, search, research, and developments in each group, and check how the field has developed over the years. Ask the question, do all studies discuss a common topic? Does this topic has progressed over the year, etc. Here, another way to write the literature review using the thematic way, means by theme or idea or trend or theory or major research studies. Here an example. If you are working on a topic related to the use of technology in the UAE educational institution, for example, you can divide your literature on themes such as ICT, means information communication technology use in primary school, and ICT use in university. Or you can go for a debate between uses of ICT in science education versus in humanity and social science. Here are more tips for the thematic approach. Remember that you need to do much more than summarizing each study. You need to analyze existing knowledge on the topic with regard to a certain important issue. Draw the reader's attention to new angles or perspective, and start listening citation you may include in your paper. Here we are in the fifth and last step to write your literature review. So, write your literature review using the information that you gathered and organize it in an appropriate way, and make sure that your literature review includes, like any dissertation at all, an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. So in the introduction, you may define or explain the problem addressed by the literature review, or present the main conflicts or debates, or explain the time frame if you use the chronological way, or simply offer a rationale for your choice of source material. Here an example for introduction for the which identify the main conflicts. The text is, or the paper entitled Living with Chronic Illness, and we need to read this together to find out how to write the introduction for the literature review. So I will read it for you. Chronic physical illness and chronic mental illness are reviewed separately here due to the tremendous differences between the two. In this study, they will be compared against one another to cross-analyze the differences and similarities in how the family member is treated dependent upon their type of illness. So I find it really short, clear enough, and this is a good example for me for an introduction to literature review. Moving to the main body, you need to use the subheading or the subtitles. If dividing the literature review thematically according to argumentative perspective, or according to time period if you choose the chronological way. Also, be sure to show relationships and links between sources. Discuss sources' significant contributions, and do not develop ideas or use sources that are irrelevant to your thesis overall. Here, for example, an example for subtitles in a literature review. Okay. Cyberbullying, how physical intimidation influences the way people are bullied. It's a paper published by Taylor Maxwell from University of West Florida. Here in his literature review, he used the thematic way and he used a subheading. The first one was prevalence of cyberbullying. He defined what does it mean by cyberbullying, what are its features, etc. And the second subheading was effects of cyberbullying on persons. So this is also a good example for a main body for the literature review. I wanted to share it with you. Now for the conclusion, you need to summarize idea, conflicts, themes, or historical periods. You need also to contextualize your topic within the summary. You need to point out the gaps and show how your research helps fill the gap. And you need to write some transition sentences and set the stage for identifying your research problem. Here, for example, a conclusion for my research with Dr. Ahmed Farouk and Dr. Shireen Musa about the knowledge, understanding, and adherence to social media regulations by youth in the United Arab Emirates. And I need to read the conclusion and to explain why it is good for you. So, to sum up or to conclude, mentioned study dealt with general uses of social media in diverse fields, as well as user awareness levels of ethical issues related to computer regulations. Some of them listed several cases of abuse that users experienced. This study will address the same problem of youth awareness of regulations related to the use of the digital space, mainly social media, in the Emirati context. So here we have to link my study to others and fill the gap. And this gap here is the Emirati context. That's why we finished the conclusion by saying that a special focus was put or will be put on the correlation between university students' understanding of the UAE regulation and their online practices to test their commitment to the online legislation that they claim they are aware of. So this is what we need to write in the conclusion of a literature review. So to give you a recap, in fact, to all the information that I gave already, this is the figure about the structure of a literature review. It includes 3 parts. The green one, general context. It includes themes, finding, theory, debate, etc. Then we have to talk about the gap, the missing angle that were not addressed, or the unanswered question. And at the end, we need to link my research with others. So I need to answer the question how my research fits into the general context and helps explore a question. This is what literature review is about. So now that we have come through all the steps of writing an effective literature review, you should remember these tips. Immediately document and cite sources you took the information from. Bookmark online sources. Bookmark hard copy also. You can use the post-it notes to mark pages with relevant information. Keep track of page numbers or online location or paraphrases and quotation, etc. And note any connection between sources in a separate notebook. We can use also what we call the free online catalog. You can log on them and put all your references. Why? Because at the end of the thesis, we cannot remember who said what. So it is really important to build a catalog in an Excel sheet with all the information needed, like this one. For example, we have 2 examples. The one in green is really simple, manual. The second one is a little bit more complicated with abstract, with all the information, documentation in it. But see, you have to remember a very important thing. You need this thing in the literature review, but also in the discussion section. You have to go back to these things in the discussion section of your thesis. So really important to document that. So now I have finished with the first part of this workshop dedicated for strategy for writing literature review, and we are going to move for the second part dedicated to referencing or writing references. In this part, we are going to know more about the reference, what is a reference, why the reference, and what are the different style of writing references. So, what is a reference? Does anybody have a clue here? Have to help me. What is a reference? Any student?
Reference is
أيوة.
the source of my information. And let's say that I got certain information from certain a journal or article in a journal. So I have to mention that this information, the source of this information is so and so.
Thank you so much. Another trial? Okay. Thank you so much. So, it is important, first of all, to mention that all idea and work of other persons, regardless of their source, must be acknowledged. And this is what we call referencing. So why we need to do this? Simply because not mentioning references is considered as cheating. You know about cheating, do you? So here the question, have you ever cheated in class or in school or in university? Hope there is another or a fifth answer for this, not the A, not B, not C, not D. صح? Okay, anyway. So cheating is considered, as you know all, an ethical practice. So you must avoid it. If you don't, many plagiarism checker will expose it. Like Authenticate, like Turnitin in Moodle, like Safest Sign in Blackboard Collaborate, etc. So these plagiarism checker tools will give the percentage of plagiarized text in your draft and the origin from where you took the information. So again, why the reference? It's about to avoid cheating, to show the breadth of research, to acknowledge direct quotes, to provide evidence to support argumentation, and to allow the reader to verify the data. Okay? So the types of references now. It is really important to make sure you are clear of the following terms: citation, reference lists, and referencing styles. We begin with citation. So citation are used to acknowledge an external source in your text, essay, article, paper, to tell readers it is not your idea. And you can give these sources in two ways: quoting or paraphrasing. In the in-text reference, we should include the author's family name, the date of publication, and the page number. But in the bibliography, we have to add also the place of publication, the publisher, etc., the title, etc. So, what is the difference between quotes and paraphrasing? You have an idea, or I have to go to the answer? Does someone have an idea about the difference between the two words? Okay, I will go to the answer directly. Tamam. So, quoting means using the exact same words as the original author. There are many ways you can do this. In a short sentence, for example, you can put the sentence as it is with a quotation mark, like this example here. If we have really long citation, long quotes, you have to use the ellipses, means the three dots, to omit certain words or phrases or sentences from the original. You can do this to miss out any unnecessary information. While paraphrasing means using the idea of an author but not using his or her exact words. However, the meaning should be the same. So You can do this, for example, to say that two different authors have the same opinion and give the opinion as a paraphrase. Here the example, according to Yule and Grundy, pragmatics is about how people understand each other's meaning from their words. So here the idea are not yours, but the words are. This is the difference. Okay, there are two ways, in fact, to write the citation, the in-text citation. The first example here, author year stated first. Adams 2012 stated that Malaysian love to sleep in classroom. Hope you're not Malaysian. There is no Malaysian here in the workshop. If not, he or she will be mad at me. Okay, so the second way is to write the author, comma, the year stated later. Malaysian student love to sleep in class, dot, Adam, comma, 2012. So both of them are correct. Here, the reference list. So a list of reference is a list of all the sources that you have been mentioned or cited in your text, and it appears at the end of your dissertation thesis, means the bibliography. Okay, this slide compares the in-text citation with the bibliography. So here we can clearly see the difference between them. Bailey, 2004, we see here we used only the family name for the author and the year of publication, but in the reference list we have to use the first letter of the first name, for example here, the title, learning about language assessment, dilemma, decision, and direction, the place of publishing, USA, the publisher, etc. So you have to give all the information in the reference list or the bibliography, but in the in-text citation, you need to give only the family name, comma, the year, and if you have also the number of page from where you took the quotation, I mean. Okay. Now, what is a referencing style? The referencing style is a set of standardized styles prepared by an organization. And in fact, we have many styles. Like here, for example, these are some example only. Harvard style of referencing, the American Psychological Association style, known as APA, Vancouver style, MLA, Modern Language Association style, the Chicago Manual of Style, and Royal Society of Chemistry style. So here we need to develop a little bit the idea to know where to use each one of them. For example, for MLA, it is used mostly in humanities like English language, art, history, philosophy, music, etc. Why? Because the humanities place emphasis on authorships and interpreting primary sources in a historical context. So the author's name is the first piece of information preceding title and publication information on the works cited list at the end of the work. APA, it is used mostly in social science. It is usually used in mass communication, in public relation, in education. Why? Because these disciplines place emphasis on the dates of creation or publication in an effort to track currency and relevancy. So the date is listed immediately following the author's name in the reference list. I have to add also that Chicago author date, not the Chicago notes and bibliography. The Chicago author date also is a little bit similar with APA, and it is also used in social science. So in fact, these styles need to have a separate workshop because of lack of time. I need here, or I prefer to focus on APA style, as I mentioned that it's most used by the journal publishing in humanity, in social science, communication, and public relation. So for the APA style, it is important to know that in the in-text, the APA follows the author and the year format as well. Like here, the example, Adam 2012 or Adam between brackets dot 2012. For the reference list, the cited sources are listed in an alphabetical order from A to Z, which is not the case for other styles. For the common rules now, the APA citation always use the surname or last name. Example here, David J. Beckman, 2010. We have to write in the in-text citation only Beckman, 2010. Nigel de Jean, 2009, we have to write de Jean, not Nigel de Jean, not Jean, because de Jean is a compound family name in France. If we have an Arabic name, like we have 4 or 5 family name, we don't need really to cite all the family tree. We need to write only the big family name, which is Al-Hammadi, not Muhammad, Ali, Hamad, Yusuf, مش عارف مين, Al-Hammadi 2021. We write simply Al-Hammadi 2021. Okay, so for the number of author now, it is really important to know that for the one author, it is simple. We have to write it between brackets or the first name or the family name with the date between brackets. It depends on the position of the citation in the in-text. If we have 2 authors, we have to add the and, but if it is between brackets, we have to add the symbol of and. We don't need to write AND. This is really important. I know some of you say maybe it's nonsense, but this is really important for the citation style and for you to learn about it, to have your article published after all. Between 3 to 5 authors, the first time you have to cite all the authors and add the and before the last one, but second time onward you have to use a all, and frankly it's a headache if we use it after 6 or more, so use immediately Adam a all. Okay, for the bibliography now, you have to know that there is different style for different sources. So the one that you need to master here are books, journal articles, and websites. For these things, you have to remember that you must make sure that the information, for example, the publisher, the place, the date, etc., needed for referencing is obtained from the original source and not the second one. For the books, you need to write like here, Comfort, which is the last name, A, which is the first letter of the family name, 1997, which is the year, and A Good Age, this is the full title of the book, London, UK, the place, and Mitchell Beasley, the publisher. Okay, if we have to, we add the and, as I said before. If we have 3 to 7 authors, we need to write the list of all the name accordingly and add and before the 7th one, but this is weird a little bit. If we have more than 7, then we have to list all of them and we don't need to write the and before the 7th, before the 8th or the 9th or etc. Okay, so now for the journal articles. Here, the last name as usual, the date, etc. Become a good student. This is the title of the article. And we have to add the name of the journal, Journal of Education. 13.2 means the volume and the number. And we have to specify the pages also, 29 to 82, for example, here in this example. Okay, so here for the web pages now. If you don't have the date of publication, then you need to mark the retrieved date. Like here, for example, the 2 examples. The first one, it's really simple. Kevin 2010, the word is flat. This is the title of the article and retrieved from, and you put simply the link. But in the second example, we put ND, means there is no date specified. So here we have to put the retrieved September 13, 2012. It means that the author went to this link in this date. Okay, and then you put the link for the web page. Okay, At the end, it is important to add that each journal uses a different style of referencing, so you may need to convert your references each time you submit your article for publication. And to do this with ease, you should use what we call the citation managers. Here are some of them, citation managers like Mendeley, Zotero, CiteFast, etc. You can find the tutorial how to use them in YouTube. And here for this slide, I want to help you in choosing the right one for you. Here are some features, difference between EndNote, Basis, Mendeley, and Zotero. The features are desktop application, web application, browser, extension to import sources, direct export from library catalog, Microsoft Word compatibility, Google Doc compatibility, PDF annotation within program, collaboration, features, and pricing. And these features will help you definitely to choose the right one for you. So I think this is all for today. I'm open for your question. Please do not hesitate if you have any question in Arabic, in English, in French, but not in Chinese. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Thouraya, for a valuable presentation. I hope this has been very useful especially for graduate students. Now we open the floor to questions. The questions can be in Arabic or in English. It's your choice.